Well, hey there, and welcome to this lesson of the church video series. You know, it's funny, when I was mapping out all the different lessons that I wanted to write and record for this series, I knew that I had to include a section on storytelling. And in fact, once I had listed this in the overall map for this video series, I knew that this was going to be the most important and most exciting one to film. So glad that you joined us today. As I mentioned, this section is all about storytelling. And in this first lesson, we're going to talk about people within your story and within your video. You know, it's funny, I've seen dozens of different videos posted by teams and crews of dozens of people with tens of thousands of dollars invested in their videos, and then I've seen videos by one-man crews with a single $500 DSLR. And I can tell you this, the one thing that I've seen across the board, what will dictate how great your video is or how bad it is not the amount of gear you have, it's not how many people you have working on your crew, it's all about storytelling and how well that you can tell your story to the audience. If you can craft a great story, it doesn't matter how much gear you do or do not have, because it's all about the story. And in this section of the church video series, we're going to be discussing the 4 key elements of every great story: people, location, plot, and the thesis of your story. So stay tuned for that. In this lesson, we're going to start with element number 1, people. Think about your favorite movie, book, or television show, and you realize that the reason you love it so much, what's caused that, is the characters and the people within the story. I love sitcoms, and when I analyze my favorite situation comedies, I realize that it's not the situation nor the comedy that has caused me to watch it over and over again, it's the characters. I own digital copies of all my favorite shows, and I watch them again and again, over and over again, because I feel like I've made connections with the characters. I feel like I know them and they know me. And so I love Ross Geller from Friends because he's so over the top and crazy and wild, and I love Michael Scott from The Office because he's a full character. He's well-rounded. You see him at his worst and you see him at his best. And in fact, Michael Scott from The Office, played by Steve Carell, is a perfect example of a great character. If you watch throughout the whole series, you'll have moments where you love him, where you hate him, where you cringe at him, and when you sympathize with him. And these are all elements and different emotions that are showing the spectrum of a full and great character. And a great storyteller understands that the focal point of all of his videos will always be the characters. Now, when you're figuring out who the key characters and people in your story are actually going to be, keep in mind that they don't actually have to be human beings. I shot a video for a sexual exploitation campaign in my city, and one of the key characters of the video was the city itself. It wasn't simply the location, but she was also a character and a person within the film. She was crumbling because of the social toll that sexual exploitation was having on her, and she was also heartbroken because of the lack of action that was being taken. So hey, if you're a church and you have a focus on your city, remember to use the city that you're in as a character within your videos and not simply just the setting or the location. Now, you don't have to have a degree in theology to know that the central character of most of your videos is going to be God. And this presents a unique challenge for us making videos for our churches, because unless you're planning on dressing up as God, and I highly suggest that you don't, you're not going to have a physical being to represent this character. And so when you're shooting videos for your church, you're going to have to be very intentional about consolidating the fact that the central character for your videos is God, and yet your central character doesn't have an actual physical presence. The reason that people are the first of the key elements in a great story is because what makes a great story is when someone says, yeah, that could be me. That likely won't be said aloud or even a conscious thought that the viewer has, but when a connection is made with a story, that is the connection. Yeah, that could be me. Because when people can see themselves as part of the story, they're welcomed into the story and they become a part of it, and that connection is the ultimate connection that you're trying to make as a storyteller. To conclude, the first key element of every great story is people, the characters. But you can't just have static human beings on the screen. You have to show people actually being people. And what are real people like? Well, they have passions, they're vulnerable, they have a future, they have a past, they have dreams, they have hopes, they have insecurities, strengths, weaknesses, and your job as the filmmaker is to make those character traits in your people come alive, put them on display. And the more you shape your characters and the more they become three-dimensional, the more the viewers of your video are going to begin to say, yeah, that could be me. And when you start to have people connecting with the characters in your video, you're already halfway there to creating a truly brilliant story. So that's all for this lesson of the church video series. Thanks for stopping by. In the next lesson, we're going to continue in the storytelling section, focusing on the location of your videos, a very important but often overlooked portion of your film. And hey, if you're not a subscriber of Pro Church Tools yet, make sure you get on that bandwagon. Everyone's doing it. Become a subscriber and you'll get your very own Pro Church Toolkit that is going to blow your mind. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I'll see you in the next lesson.